my book, I think it's quite interesting because say it's like 2 months out after he died, and I'm like, oh, today, I'm feeling so much better. I like went to the hardware store and I, bought this, and then I put together this doghouse, and I have the yard ready for spring, and da 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 da. And then the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stop crying.
Mm,
So you can see like how much of a roller coaster it really is. And I think that that's really helpful for people to see every day is different, and you just like you got to hang on to your surfboard because you can't let it suck you under or whatever, or you have to, whatever it is, you have to hang on to your Wilson volleyball, that's your only person in Castaway.
yep.
um or those types of things, and then eventually you get to the point where you can let that volleyball, you can let Wilson go, but it takes quite a while.
Yep.
But yeah, it really was me trying to navigate all of it, and it was really hard and really ugly for a lot of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you were saying like you were always like in a frantic like hospital to work to feeding the pets, doing this, doing that. Was it, and I think you briefly covered this. Was there any point where you could do stuff for yourself in terms of like self-care? Anything at all?
Yeah, yeah, so I edited the book myself like 8 times, and I had a professional editor edit it as well. And I think she was like in her 60s, and it just happened to be a God thing because she's like, my husband, when she sent it back to me, she's like, my husband's had cancer for like 11 years. And I was just like, wow, someone that was reading it had
Mhm.
been through that. And she's like, I'm not sure about all the concert parts and stuff you have in there, but obviously they were important to you. So keep them in there. But so I live in the Twin Cities here in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And to those of you that don't know, it's a music mecca. So unfortunately, our beloved Prince died years ago, but this is a huge place for live music. And in the 20 years that I've lived here, I've been to like 180 shows or something like that. So I still went to concerts. I still did those things. And I even wondered at the time, would people judge me, things like that. But you can't care because you have to get out and you have to do your own thing. And a lot of people think, as the caregiver, there's a lot of stigma associated with, oh, they're the sick person and you're doing that and you're, doing this. And so I actually changed all the names in my book except my own. So, like, Grayson was not my late husband's name, which I talk about in the book, simply because I had a very, very toxic mother in law. And I haven't talked to her forever, and I don't want her to sue me. Um,
Right.
so, but it's like, I remember one time I had a friend, I talk about this in the book. She brought me like a care package, and his mom walked in the room and she was like, you're taking care of you're doing this and you're going shopping when he's fighting for his life. And it was like, excuse me, like, no, this is for me. Someone's helping me. So you do have to reach out and let people know, like, I'm just having a really hard time. And you have to like be able to strip off the layers of the armor you put on, because especially what I did, the second year of his illness, I switched jobs. So I was working in mental health, going out in the community. My first year that he was sick, what I had done for years is I worked at a mental health assisted living, taking people with serious and persistent mental illnesses to activities and different things like that. So they don't know about your personal life. And then the other one is I was like a case manager, going into people's homes, helping them advocate, doing anything and everything, people that were seriously mentally ill as well. So it's like, with that, I had more breathing room because I was driving from person's client's home to home. And in between, I could call the doctors and find out how he was doing or talk to him and things like that. But this whole time, you have to shelve this life of, you can't think, oh my gosh, my person's are they gonna die? Are they well? What's going on? They're having their bone marrow biopsy today. What's gonna come? What's gonna come of this? What's going on? You just have to like deny all of it, lock the door until you're done with work, and then you can get back to work. And it was pretty insane because it's just like I've learned really well how to compartmentalize, and that's something that I was forced to do. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have the luxury of being able to, I would talk with my coworkers and different things at the first job about it. At the second one, because it was mainly me and my case files in my car, I depended on friends and family to talk to and things like that. But even then, um, when you do talk, you talk about the patient. How are they doing? Um, so you kind of have to force yourself to talk about yourself because that's not what you're focused on. You're
Mm.
so focused on them. Are they going to live? What do they need? All these types of things. So it's really difficult to figure out how to carve out time for yourself because they're your person. And not that like you can't live without them. Ultimately, obviously, I did because my husband died. But when it's your job to be the healthy person mentally, physically, and the strong one out of the two because the other one can't be at that time, you don't really think a lot about yourself, if that makes sense. So
Oh,
I did have friends come to the hospital and like we'd go sit at the cafeteria and have dinner when he was hospitalized, or come over for a movie night or do different things like that. I the summer when he was in remission and he did well, we went to like Las Vegas for the stupid cancer, young cancer survivor conference. And I went to some different silent retreats. I escaped from a Buddhist retreat. That's a funny story in my book. But because I was just too tired and I kept falling asleep on my yoga mat and like hitting the floor.
oh my
Because it was
god,
like,
yeah, I can imagine.
even with that, like you never have respite. And even when you nap, like it's never enough. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't have children, but you know how you just hear how people are like on autopilot with no sleep and things like that. It was pretty crazy. And then even just a year or two after he died, it probably took me a full year to catch up on sleep, to get my body to recharge, even past when I had a hysterectomy and had to go through all the physical healing of that. But to get back where I felt like an actual human that wasn't on a hamster wheel without a wheel anymore, it probably did take like a full year because it just drains you so much. You're going, 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 going. And even then, like, it was just really bizarre to not have to go to the hospital, to not have to worry about someone's blood pressure or levels or whatever. And then I really missed all the like nurses and all the people that I knew, even like the girl like in the cafeteria or the parking pass girl or like the people you'd see every day. All these people become part of your ecosystem. So when your person dies, you lose all of that as well. So it was just kind of an interesting combo of that. But it was difficult because you do get lost in so much focus being on the other person, which is what it should be, to how am I going to take care of myself? So it might be like getting a cup of tea and listening to a CD you like on the way to the hospital or, things like that. But yeah, it's really tricky to try to take care of yourself.
Hmm. It's strange the whole idea that you giving yourself like a little gift basket, or you going to a concert to take time out of, or to get your mind out of all the craziness. It's so strange that that's considered selfish.
Yeah.
It's such a weird concept. Like I need to make sure I'm mentally healthy as well as my husband like doing his thing, and then that makes you a selfish person. It's so weird.
It is. It's really weird. So when I published my book last fall, I actually it didn't occur to me until I like had clicked the button on Amazon. It was like out there to the world.
Mm.
Like I had probably like a 5 minute mini panic attack of like, am I going to feel really shitty going back into the cancer world because I'm so spaced out from it for years? Am I like, this is a really tough way to be. And I did um, 2 half marathons for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's team in training, where it's like months of training along with people raising money. And it's like a physical, like I started from scratch. I mean, I walked my dog, but like you train to be able to do this. So I'm walking, I was a walker, not a runner. So I'm training all these things and I'm, having these relationships with people that I still have, um, that get it, that get where you are. So I'm doing all these different things to take care of myself in that way. Um, but in different ways. I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going with this. Within those things, yeah. Taking care of yourself, um, you do really worry about for what you don't want to worry, but you worry like, what are people going to think? Like
Yeah.
in a way you don't give a shit because you're doing your thing and you have to. I remember I went to a concert. I went to like a Miranda Lambert concert
Nice.
that was like 60 miles away or something, and I got a hotel and no one, I couldn't find anybody to go with me, and I'm like, I'm going. And my mom was there helping take care of my husband, and I had like a tank top. I'm like 29, right? I had like a tank top and jeans on. My mom's like, some young man's gonna hit on you in that shirt like that. And my husband's just like laughing. And I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna go. And I just like sat there with like my beer in my seat, dancing by myself. And then, went back to the hotel, fell asleep, and came home. And it was just like, no one could understand how much I needed that, how
Yeah.
much you just need that space and that time. Where I remember being there and thinking, first of all, he didn't like country music. So, first of all, like he would hate this, but thinking like, oh, yeah, he's there, he's in remission, mom's with him, different things like that. But like, I can breathe. I just have like 12 hours. I can breathe. I know he's sick. I know I love him. I know he's my person, but that's not my life right now. And I think that that's the tricky thing is um, people just have perceptions of things. And that's the trickiest thing with something like this is you don't know what you're doing until you go through it. Um, so I remembered. So jumping back in the cancer world, I, was reaching out to different people that I wanted to be able to help with my book. And there's this organization called JAX, Cancer Caregiver Coalition here in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. And it's based on someone who his late wife, when she was sick, a friend was like, how can we take care of you? And he was like, what? And they're like, no, you, the caregiver. So it's this group of guys that get together and have, even virtually now with COVID, like Thirsty Thursday, they do like, went to like meaty things, like a, meat packing something or, stuff like that. And so I've actually taken it on as kind of like a Jill with a Jack, and I do trivia night, once a month. We're going to move it to twice a month and things like that. And it's just, these people that are going through this, you need a distraction. You have to have something to pull you out of it, even if it's just an hour a week. I read like silly, stupid trivia questions. One of them was like, what there's like this random statue in like Brazil or Bolivia or something of some man eating babies. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what country is this statue in? Or what is whatever in? And, you're thinking of that, or music trivia, or what year was this baseball? How many Super Bowls has, Tom Brady won, or whatever that is. Things that are like that stupid, that silly, you need that hour of nonsense to step away, to take that time. So it's cool there's this organization doing things like that, and I recommend in my book not only things to do for yourself, but when people want to help, the specific tasks to give them, because you might not know what to do. Like, let somebody shovel your driveway, let somebody cut your grass, let somebody go to Target, let somebody, do these things. um because you have to use all your reserves, like that extra engine that you have on your plane. Like, you got to keep it in check. You can't use it, because if the whole rest of the airplane blows, you're going to need that. You're going to need that.
Yeah.